Imagine not being able to read the paper because your hands were shaking. Imagine not being able to read newsprint as your world faded to black. The National Federation of the Blind, Newsline, Indiana. With your host, Lee Martin, and co-host, Florence Myers-McSwine.
We want to welcome you back to the National Federation of the Blind Newsline Indiana show. And Florence, it's been a great show, wouldn't you say?
Oh,
the first segment was awesome.
It was.
With Deanna Austin from the Veterans Administration, the Visual Impairment Service Team Coordinator. And she has some great information to share. And she's back with us today to talk a little bit more and share some great information. She shared some great information with us on the previous show. And I mean, that Talking Watch, which gave many veterans hope, just knowing about time, how to keep track with time, the optic driving. I mean, that was just fantastic information.
Wow.
And the NFB Newsline service. We'll be talking all about that here on this segment of her show, part 2. And to inform you about the National Federation of the Blind Newsline service. It is a free service that's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that allow people that are print challenged, those that are blind, visually impaired, those that have certain forms of dyslexia. Even the deafblind now can use this free service to access over 460 newspapers, that's national newspapers, 15 international newspapers. Also the ABC, the BBC, the CNN, Fox News, the Huffington Post on our breaking news portion of it all. Seniors love to use it to read basically the obituaries. I had one senior say that he loved to read it because he wants to make sure he's not in there. So, you know, there's many people use it. Students love to use it for current events. There's job listings in there. And a lot of people that like to shop at Walmart and Target. We have the circulars that's in there prior to it even getting in the mail. We have TV guide listings and a plethora of magazines. Florence, you want to share the magazines real quick?
Sure, and since we're talking about veterans, I want to start with, let me back up because we were talking, you said magazines, but the first thing that came in my mind actually was the newspaper, Stars and Stripes.
Stars and Stripes,
yes.
That's exactly right.
But I was, as far as the magazines, there's a magazine, Vending Time magazine for vendors. There's a lot of blind individuals who are vendors. There's also Sports Illustrated magazine. There's ESPN. Oh goodness, there's
we just
Stone
added
Soup.
Yeah, Stone Soup for children.
For children, and the children love it, and adults as well.
Yeah,
so
and the Ebony magazine.
Ebony is also included.
Yeah.
There's Bride magazine. It seems like a lot of people are getting married lately. So there's Bride magazine. There's Glamour for women who are basically just into whatever it is we're into. But
yeah, whatever y'all into, So that's very interesting. In the AARP magazine, I know that you like to read that now. You said that you're a senior.
All right.
And, they also have... They also have a plethora of magazines in there that we all just love to read. There's something in there for everyone. The techies, there are magazines in there for individuals that like that. What's the one that, there's a little Colonel book stories.
Guidepost magazine.
Guidepost.
That's a very good magazine. And for
Yeah.
people who love music, there's Rolling Stone magazine as well.
I know Guidepost just almost had me in tears, so I just couldn't read it anymore.
That's one of my favorites.
And, and then you're talking about the young ladies, they like to read a Glamour, magazine. I was at the school, Indiana School for the Visually Blind, the blind and visually impaired. And one of the mothers asked me, do you have the Glamour magazine? And I, start reading it as she was reading it on my, you can access these newspapers or magazines on your landline phone, or whether you got your smartphones or your digital talking player, and also the digital player from the National Library of Congress, which you can get through the Talking Book and Braille Library services here in Indiana for free. But you can access all of this information by utilizing those tools as well as the computer. So we'll be right back with our guest and some very good information and what her service to the veterans of America. So we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
I just graduated college as a blind student. How can I independently find job listings?
Thanks to the National Federation of the Blind, visually impaired Hoosiers can hear newspapers, circulars, and magazines from across the globe.
It is a fantastic service.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
We are the nation's blind, and we read NFB Newsline.
If you or someone you know is visually impaired or print challenged, the National Federation of the Blind has a resource you need.
Wow, I scored a touchdown when I found sports on NFB Newsline.
I enjoy reading TV guide listings on NFB Newsline.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
We are the nation's blind. We read NFB Newsline.
It's free.
Welcome back to the National Federation of the Blind Newsline, Indiana. We have our guest again this week, Ms. Deanna Austin, who is a Visual Impairment Service Team Coordinator. And welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here today.
Deanna, you shared so much great information regarding your journey with sight loss and the tools that you had there. I just was impressed, and with your study and how you just had enough heart and incentive to want to work with the blind and visually impaired. And once again, my hat off to you. Anybody that want to learn more about Deanna's first segment, you can just go to our YouTube site on WHMB, National Federation of the Blind Newsline, and you'll find that show there. So for this show, Deanna, we're going to talk a little bit more about your work as a visual impairment service team coordinator with the Veterans Administration. You've been with them for 9 years now.
Correct.
And you have met hundreds of veterans here in the state. I know, like I said, you have helped me a lot. And any time that I, as a veteran, need anything, such as a cane or maybe another watch or some Braille notepads or anything that I would call, or even my visits to Hines or my visits to the eye doctors, you are there. And you're not just there for me, but you're there for hundreds of other veterans. Once again, just give us a small capsule of what your duties detail.
Well, the Visual Impairment Services Team Coordinator is a piece of the Veterans Health Administration. So at the Veterans Hospital, they have a position of someone that works specifically with the blind and visually impaired. So sometimes veterans call me, they've never been to the VA, and they have vision loss, and they may have heard about the program, and they enroll in VA healthcare, and sometimes I will meet them at the front door and take them to our enrollment office for them to enroll, and encourage them to have primary care physician at the medical center. Encourage them to take advantage of all the services that the VA has to offer. Doctor visits, hearing exams, eye exams, and then the veterans that have vision loss, they have access to a coordinator. So the neat thing about the VIST position, or visual impairment services, is it's a position where someone in the Veterans Hospital has an interest in working with the blind and visually impaired and making sure that that group of individuals gets what they need and gets the services that are available. So the VA actually has blind rehabilitation centers. So Lee, I know you've participated in those programs of leaving home, going to one of our centers around the United States. The VA has 13, and participating in training of learning all the ins and outs of how does a person live with blindness. And it's everything from using the long white cane, cooking, using computers, iPhones, iPads, the latest technology of what's available, to things like getting the key in your door, plugging something in. So it's looking at all aspects of life. And the role of the coordinator is to ensure that the veteran gets the services. And then once the veteran has received services, then how can we help as they navigate life as someone with vision loss? And in the VA, when a veteran's been issued the long white cane, if it maybe were to break, or a person gets in the car and it snaps, or I've had canes go down the elevator shaft, well then they may need a replacement. So the VA also provides replacement for, like we talked about in last segment, the talking watch or the long white cane. So it's a program of case management. So I case manage about 400 veterans that have vision loss, and I invite them to participate in a review once a year. How are things going? What can I help you with? How are things going in the medical center? How about all your VA benefits? They might have questions about home loan, the GI Bill. They may have questions about education benefits. So just all the benefits that the VA has. The VIST coordinator's role is to keep up on all that's going on, in legislation and with just what VA benefits are available, and make sure that that veteran with vision loss is getting all the things that they need to live the best life that they can and keep enjoying retirement, raising their kids, traveling the world, whatever they desire to do.
Well, I know that when I first came into the services, I was really broken as a individual, as a man, and was at a brink, of almost of no return. And the coordinator's position really helped me to know that I still can live a life of independence, that I still had self-value, and that and without that, I don't know where I would be at this particular time. Going to the rehab training center at Hines in Chicago. You want to talk a little bit more about what they receive there, as far as technology and going to discovering the road to independence there.
Sure. Vision loss is not easy. It is a severe disability, and it's just not easy to live with and get through. And when a person with vision loss can be introduced to other people with vision loss, or a watch that talks, or a nice big calendar, those things just make a person feel better about their ability to keep doing things. As we all want to do things in life, we want to continue to live the best life that we can. And The training centers that are available for people with vision loss are invaluable because you get to meet other people with vision loss. I never met other people with vision loss when I was younger. When I go on vacation, I hardly ever see anyone with vision loss. So it's a very small group of people. And so the training centers are so valuable because it allows that person with blindness to be around other people with blindness, and it allows the professional to train that person with vision loss on how to use the long white cane, how to use the computer, how to use Facebook, how to email, how to use Twitter, how to get a ride with Uber and Lyft. So it just in the Veterans Administration, it's the top technology that's used. Again, it could be as easy as a talking watch or as simple to a talking pill bottle reader that reads your medication labels. But when veterans or when individuals pursue rehabilitation services, just like when a person has a heart attack and they pursue rehabilitation, it makes all the difference in the world, and it really can be life-changing for individuals that participate. I've had veterans say, last summer they were sitting around at home, hanging out in the garage, listening to the television. And this year they've gone to the training center, they've gained confidence, they're pursuing employment opportunities, they're back on the computer, they're involved in their community, they're back to being the neighborhood bicycle repairman. They're doing whatever they want to do for retirement and, for life itself, for enjoyment. So it really can be life-changing if a person is willing to be open to the services and then willing to just accept that the services are available. And that can be a process that people go through before they're ready to participate in services.
And you heard it there from Deanna, and you'll hear it from me, and we'll be right back with more information on how to obtain these great services. Stay tuned.
I am a blind vendor, and one of the things that I truly miss is reading Vending Times magazine.
Hoosiers can hear Indiana magazines, circulars, national magazines, and information from across the globe. Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
It is a fantastic service.
Subscribe free to NFB Newsline today.
We are the nation's blind, and we read NFB Newsline.
As I travel the nation, I read NFB Newsline.
I live in Valparaiso, Indiana, and I listen to my local news on NFB Newsline.
As a student, I enjoy reading current events on NFB Newsline.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
Subscribe free to NFB Newsline today.
Welcome back to the National Federation of the Blind Newsline, Indiana. And Deanna, as far as the qualifications for these blinded services, can you expound on it for our listening audience?
Yes. Well, in the VA, the Veterans Administration, a veteran would want to go to the VA or look online or call the VA to see about enrolling in VA healthcare. So that veteran would want to enroll in VA healthcare. Now, one thing that the VA has is for veterans who have a severe disability, veterans may be eligible for the VA when maybe under other circumstances they would not. And that is very important. So there are veterans with legal blindness that would be eligible to enroll in VA healthcare because of their severe vision loss. The important thing is to know that the VA has services for the blind and visually impaired, that there's a coordinator that exists at nearly, or all the VA medical centers. There's a point of contact with the visual impairment services team, and making contact with that coordinator, then that coordinator can help them in learning more about enrollment, talking with them about whether they would be eligible, and then they could enroll in VA healthcare, and then if they're enrolled in VA healthcare, then the services are available. The VA is the one medical center that involves blind rehabilitation services right in the medical center. It's just a part of services that are available in the VA.
Okay, now, I guess this is a rumor because I don't know much about it, but is there a service through VA which assists a person, let's say perhaps with transportation, as far as transportation to and from the support groups and things like that, or perhaps maybe even transportation to assist an individual that needs to go back and forth to work?
All medical centers are going to be different with what's available regarding transportation. So, our healthcare system's very large, and so each medical center does transportation a little bit differently. The Indianapolis VA tries to assist veterans with transportation to get into the medical center for their appointments. Sometimes that involves the help of the veteran county service officers. So each county in Indiana has a service officer that helps veterans. Sometimes, I'm partnering with them to ensure that that veteran comes in for an appointment. Unfortunately, there isn't any exact transportation services for veterans out in the community, except right now there's a partnership with the city and veterans that veterans can, in Indianapolis, they can take the Indigo fixed route at free for any veteran.
Okay.
So they go to the transit store, complete a form, bring their VA ID or their discharge papers, their DD-214, present that to the transit center in downtown Indianapolis, and then they are given a card, and then they ride the fixed route or the regular buses free, as much as they would like. So that's just been announced in the last 2 weeks. The other thing at the VA Medical Center that's begun is valet parking. And that's really nice. I work with a lot of older adults and their spouses bringing them in. And that's going to be a really nice benefit that they can just, whomever they're with that's driving them can pull into the main entrance of the medical center in Indianapolis, and a valet is available for veterans and families from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m.
That's
going to help.
That is so good to know. Now, our host here, Lee, has a cane. Now,
yes.
Can you expound on it a little bit more for our listening audience about the white cane?
Well, the white cane is an essential piece of someone with vision loss. A lot of times when people can't see well, those that have vision, when they can't see as good, they're going to tend to look down. They're not going to look anymore around at their surroundings. When you look down, you get yourself lost. The white cane or the long cane, it is for detection, where it is going to detect objects or detect stairs, detect curves, cracks. It allows that person with blindness and vision loss independent travel, and also the ability for people with vision loss to look up. And the cane does the work of detecting objects, and then the person can do, if they have remaining vision, they can see what they can. For a person with no vision remaining, it's just an extremely valuable tool in getting around. The long white cane is something that's encouraged to be used by every individual who's legally blind to utilize the long white cane. The other thing that it does is it's a universal symbol of blindness. So it communicates to others that a person has vision loss. So a funny story was someone in Walmart, and they're, in the store and in the clothing section, and they're feeling a shirt, and all of a sudden someone says, "Hey, what are you doing?" Well, they didn't realize that someone was attached to that shirt. They thought they were just feeling a shirt on the rack. Now, had they had their long white cane, that could have spoke for themselves, that they, couldn't see as well, so they weren't able to tell if that was a person or, clothes on the rack. So it's kind of like the moral of that story would be, use your long white cane. So we really encourage all individuals with severe vision loss to have that long white cane, because it is a sign of independence.
It is.
So much it's kind of looked at in a negative light. I don't look at it that way. Any person you see with a long white cane tells me that they've made a choice to be as independent as possible, and they're using that cane to get information, and they're using that cane to be identified as someone who can't see well. And it's really a symbol of independence.
And I tell you, that symbol of independence, I really enjoy it. And there's also laws in the driver's manual regarding the long white cane. So I would encourage individuals that are licensed drivers to learn more about your responsibilities with a person with a long white cane. It's in the driver's manual. So we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back. Thank you.
The National Federation of the Blind knows that blindness is not the characteristic that defines you or your future. Every day we raise the expectations of blind people because low expectations create obstacles between blind people and our dreams. You can live the life you want. Blindness is not what holds you back.
We want to welcome you back for the conclusion of our show. And Deanna, we want to thank you very much for joining us today and sharing such valuable information.
Well, you're welcome. And just real quick, I have a monthly support group that meets at the Medical Center in Indianapolis, the VA Medical Center, second Friday of the month, 2 o'clock. So for information on the support group or all of the services available for veterans with vision loss, anyone can give me a call, 317-988-2576 is my direct number. And, just thank you so much for having me on here today. And so many of the veterans I work with are utilizing the National Federation of the Blind Newsline, and I'm very glad that service is available for all individuals with vision loss.
Well, Deanna, once again, thank you so very much.
Thank you, Deanna. And
thank you.
It's one thing I'd like to add with that before we close out this show. I'd like to add just a tagline: with love, hope, and determination, we transform dreams into reality.
Dreams into reality. So thank you very much, Deanna.
Thanks.
Take care. See you soon.
The National Federation of the Blind, Newsline, Indiana. For more information, go to nfb-in.org or call 855-963-6476. That's 855-963-6476. The National Federation of the Blind encourages you to live the life you want.